Hello everyone, and this is the very first milestone slash devlog of my game, Genus demonsus. Yes, weird, but yeah, let's go with it. But let's just go over it, right? Let's just take navigation and see what we have so far. So let's just hit play. Okay, it's not much, but major progress. Okay, I will explain that why. I'll explain the why, and then I'll even go ahead and show off the assets. I'll show, and really just go over them. Okay. Alright, it's loaded in. So, see, I have a gun. It's a gun right now. And there's a whole terrain to choose. Now, there's a random wall. I'll explain that in a minute. But here, if I shoot, nothing goes through it. But if I were to shoot there, oh, there's a line. And if I were to walk up to it, you can see there's the ammo. I can roll around, pretty much. And oh yeah, and I also can jump too. I'll explain. Alright. Apart from those, okay, let's get into the development. Let's just get into it, okay? So you may notice on the top right corner, you may notice, give me one moment though, give me one moment. You might notice here, yeah, right there. It says the Fallout demo. The reason for that is for this very project, I'm gonna be using this very level that I was creating for just to create a small level Fallout game just for fun, which really boils down to two reasons. One, it'll be a much faster process just to place all the trees, all the assets, not much work. And I'll get to that first part in a bit. But the second thing is, I'll have a much easier time doing, my personal project, because if I can figure out like the game mechanics, like the spawn and the shooting, later on, I can work on this. I can work on my own Fallout demo. It's just a fan game, but more importantly, I can expand my skill set when it comes to Unity. So, let's jump in, okay? So, for this project right here, I created the whole terrain. This is original, by the way, except for the textures that I got these, well, many of the assets from the asset store. But the whole sculpting the terrain, that I did on my own, that I learned to do, a tutorial that I'll link in the description, along with the other, along the shooting mechanic, which I will also go over in this. Okay. Essentially, what I have done is let's see if it shows on this very screen. Okay, good. Yeah, let me do something real quick. Zoom out. Yeah, here it is. All right. All right, good. Okay, excellent. So, what I have done, made like an empty game object, and then inside of that empty game object, sorry, I created the main camera that will allow the player to control the camera where they look, as well as to be first person. That I chose saves a lot more time than third animation, simply because with third person you not only gotta have to have a model that works, but also you have to like animate them. You have to animate doing other things. So by just doing first person, it kills some time, right? It saves a lot of time. I also added like a cylinder as a placeholder, along with a pistol as the weapon that you can have. And I will go over the code as well. I'll be going over those, how I did it, and also along with a ground check. Okay. And of course, got the rock, the ammo box. I'll explain how those work. But yeah, I've imported these assets to this. Okay. But let's get straight into the the coding. Oh yeah, before I forget, like I said, got from the asset store, which I'll be showing off images of that, just to show you where I got these from. But apart from that, let's get into really the meat and the bone of this project, okay? The coding, of course. So what I've done for this empty game project. Now, I labeled this. I labeled it very, very crucial, okay? And the thing is, it really saves a lot of time, that to the point where I'm like, okay, this is what the object is. This is that project. Sorry, object. Dang, I keep confusing project with object. I guess I'm very fixated. But anyways, the object. Okay? Saves a lot of time. And that's the same thing for the trees, which I'll be placing them, for, just the polish, the final part. Or at least placing, the necessary assets. Now, I'll also be showing off like the map that I created during pre-production, but logically, I'm gonna do part of the map, and hear me out on this, okay? I think the reason why that would work, okay? 2 reasons. One, easy, actually 3 reasons, okay? Actually 2, okay? 1, it goes within the scope, okay? It goes within the scope. I can get things done easier, okay? I can just focus more on the programming side of things and then polish them later. But number two, the big one here, progression, right? Because the thing that makes, exploration great is the amount of progression. It doesn't have to be that big, but still, right? Imagine how how cool that would be. Okay, scratch that. How interesting would that be that you explore the map, right? You have improved in terms of gameplay, okay? It gets harder and harder and harder. So what you do, you go to a new map, right? You explore a new map, right? I'll probably show off a bit of COD, zombies, gameplay, or Resident Evil. But even in games like these, there's a bit somewhat a way of progress, like progressing forward. Okay? As the enemies get more difficult. So that's kind of that mindset here. Okay? Because it's like, it's better to do this one little chunk than the entire chunk. I do the entire chunk, not only will I be going beyond the scope, but then I would be in this mindset of, okay, how can I make the next level or the next area of the map harder, more difficult for the player, more challenging, but still be fair, right? And do not want to make that one mistake in Fallout where, like you go from like a bug enemy to like a raider enemy, and then just jump straight to the death claw. I'm like, okay, look, it's cool, but sometimes cool doesn't equate to good or to practical. It's the same thing here. It's like, well, as much as it would be cool making this whole map, is it really necessary? Is it practical? Is it something that's going to equate to good level design or game design in general, right? That's something. That's why I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start with this one chunk of the map. Alright, I'm just gonna do one chunk, and then, hey, if I want to do more chunks in the future, I can do that, right? But also, like, okay, but this is almost like the ground foundation, okay? But enough of the rambling. Let's get to the programming side of things. So the first thing I did, one of the first things before this project, I'm using this level as a foundation, simple enough. So you get the player movement. So how this works, okay? The controller, right? You need the controller, component, and it, has to be on the empty game project, because by doing that, it's not just affecting this empty game project. It's affecting everything that's contained in in the empty game project, right? Right? And when the player's pressing a certain button, a very specific button, this object here can be affected by the empty game project. And I also had, let's see. I also have an interactable object script where if the player looks at it, it's going to pop up the name of the object. And finally, of course, in the gun, where if player presses a button, it's going to spawn the bullet, mesh from the spawn where the bullet is going to be coming from, and then of course it's going to shoot, it's going to fly, it's going to do what a bullet does, speed, fly at incredible speeds, and then it will have some time, lifetime, and then game object is destroyed. And now let's actually go over some of the scripts right here, just so you can have a better idea what it is. And I'll probably be cutting to when I discuss the program side of things.